Thank you for joining me back on my channel as I show you something that you can do after a long day at work to help with your homesteading goals. That's making sauerkraut. So as you can see, I've got this giant cabbage here that's going to become some sauerkraut. So I'm going to start by just chopping a bit off and making it actually manageable for me. So I'm just chopping it up a bit more. I decided to try using a food processor to help with saving a little bit of time. My first lot was a little bit too fine, so I had to end up changing the chopping piece that goes in there. So this is just me attaching that. I kind of like my sauerkraut to be a little chunkier, but still, reasonably well chopped. So I'm just adding a whole lot more cabbage into the food processor here. As you can see, I've got about that much chopped, and in the bowl here we've got quite a decent portion now, so I'm going to start adding some salt to that. So I don't measure this, I just go by feel. You get a good sense of how much you need, and the salt will make the liquid start coming out of the cabbage. So this was a very, very fresh cabbage, and a lot of liquid came out of it. I'm also adding a little bit of the liquid from a previous jar of store-bought sauerkraut. That's just adding some more probiotic goodness in there to get that going. So I'm just going to stir that all through. But yeah, basically at this point you'll start seeing quite a lot of liquid coming out. Trying not to get too hands-on and keeping it less messy, but we'll see how we go. So here's some more salt going in. Stir that all through. There's a lot of stirring, a lot of chopping when you're making sauerkraut. Here we go. Here I'm just continuing to chop. And here I am just adding some more to the bowl. So just trying to get every little bit of cabbage out there. Trying to keep it tidy, but it never works. You're always going to end up with a bit of mess going on when you're making sauerkraut. So obviously adding a bit more to the bowl. My bowl's pretty big and it's getting pretty full here. Again, trying to get all the cabbage out. You can see we're pretty full up. And repeat, stir, stir, stir. And we're going to add some more salt soon. And yeah, just keep mixing that through, and your cabbage will start to shrink down and look more like a coleslaw rather than cabbage. It's about the only time I take off my wedding rings is when I'm making sauerkraut. And here you've got to really massage the cabbage and really get all that liquid out of it. You're going to have to do this for quite a bit, and it's just an unavoidable part of the process, I find, but it gives you a much better result than simply just stirring all that salt through. You want to really be squeezing all the liquid out of the cabbage. So massaging intensifies. You can see it looks a bit less, a bit smaller than when I showed it to you before, and that's just it shrinking down, losing its liquid. So for those of you in New Zealand, I got this big jar from Briscoe's. It was called a fermenting kit, and I think I got it for about $12 on special. I think they were trying to get rid of them, so yay. And basically you just gotta fill it in. See, I've still got more cabbage about the size of my face there. Carrying on. Same process, just gotta keep going. When you got a cabbage this big, it's a bit of an effort, but still this took me about half an hour to get this done. You can see I'm still filling it up, and then you want to push the cabbage down. So here I thought that the food processor was sounding a bit strange, and it turns out there was a bit of the core of the cabbage stuck there, so I tend to leave that out, particularly if you're doing it this way, but even more so if you're hand chopping everything. And then you just want to keep pushing the cabbage down, and this kit came with a weight, and basically you want to have all the liquid coming up above the line of the cabbage. You want to be keeping the water higher, and because this cabbage was so fresh, a lot of liquid came out, more so than I've had in the past. Sadly, this wasn't a cabbage I grew myself. I have been making sauerkraut with my own cabbages, but I've eaten them all now, so I've had to be a bought one for this one. And I just want to keep pushing that down. You can see even more liquids coming out as that salt gets to work on the cabbage. But yeah, again, just trying to get that cabbage below the waterline. And then putting the lid on. So it's got a little thing that lets some of the gases out. It looks a little odd, I think, but I won't comment on that too much. And yeah, don't push too hard when you're just trying to squeeze a little bit of that air out. So take 2 of putting the lid on, and then you are done. And that just needs to sit on your bench for, I put mine out for 3 days this time because we're pretty cold here at the moment. But yeah, just a couple of days, if it's more like summer. Thanks for watching. Bye.